let's start talking metallic. So we can look at ways to get a shimmer or a bit of glitter or to get a kind of pearlized effect on things. Now, we've had our Identity water-based leather stains for a while, and in those we do a gold, silver, copper and pearl. Now, those go on in a very liquid form, so they're great. You can thin them down with water and dilute them to just give a little gentle wash over your leather, just if you want a real kind of subtle shimmer, or you can use them a little bit heavier if you want to pick out and have a bit more of a effect over your tops of your dyes and other things. I'm going to also talk to you today about the new paints, because there's we had a question in this week about what was the difference between the pearlized paint and the Dora metallic. So I want to cover that in today as well. Firstly, I mean, when or why can you use metallic? I mean, I just think it's quite a fun way to add some interest and light, particularly when you're doing tooling or any textured leather. It's a really good way to get that play of light to highlight things. These are, some of you may have seen them on Instagram, these are my Doc Martens that I've painted with the new paints. Oh, joy, I love them so much. They were completely flat purple before and quite scuffed. Don't know if I've got a bit of the purple. They were that colour, and now they have love that colour, but I just did some of the Dora metallic on the back. So that's 2 coats. On the top I didn't particularly prepare the leather other than cleaning it. I've worn these out really a lot. In fact, I've worn them more probably in the last few weeks since I've done these. I've worn them more than I have the rest of the time I've had them, which has been years. I've just really fallen back in love with them. So that was a kind of fun thing that you could just do on a heel or on the tongue of a boot. If you don't want to be as dramatic as I've been, but you just want to customize a little bit, then just taking one aspect of the shoe or boot can be quite a fun way to do it. And I did Peter's brogues as well. So this is the walnut pearlized. So if I was to hold these 2 up, this one here has a little bit more blinginess to the light, and this one here is what we're calling the pearlized. It's more satin, if you like, in finish. Still metallic, but you're just getting a slightly different look, which hopefully will become clear as you watch a bit further on. So ways you can use metallic. We also have some metallic finger waxes, which are really nice to highlight. So you can see there it's just been used to push in and then buff away to just create this lovely kind of very aged looking sort of patina to the carving and tooling. There's another little example there where it's just been rubbed over with the waxes. And there's some silver. So I've got some other examples here on some of the boards. If you're coming by to the store, do come and ask me. You can have a look at these. So here's one where we've used the gold Dora, so just to give this much more textural glitter kind of effect. This one's had some of it rubbed in on top of the other paints, on top of a textured leather. I've got some here. These are all from a play day that we had with a couple of local artists. This is some of Lisa and Gina's work. Gina does quite a lot of wall murals with texture and metallics and painting. She's a metallics kind of specialist, so it was really interesting to get her feedback and see what she came up with. So much you can do. If you wanted to do it to give yourself a bit of a background, this one here, this top one, it's just using the pearlized paint in the pearl. So it's quite subtle. I don't know if the camera's going to pick it up, but if I turn it, you can just see the kind of, I wanted a kind of rain water effect there. So hopefully those mood boards and some, it will give you some inspiration as well. And now we'll get on to a bit of a demo of how they look when you use them. So here we have the metallics, and this is hopefully, these ones I've already done on here are some of the Dora. So what I want to do is kind of get those kind of a bit dry for you so I can show you the different colours. So I've just gone ahead a little bit, but I'm going to carry on with this little strip. This is like a little sample chart, so I've just put some bits of masking tape down. And I'm going to do some silver and the pearl at the bottom here. So let's have a little go. So when you open these Dora, they're a different shaped bottle to the hybrid metallic, the pearlized. Cadence call these metallic as well. For kind of sake on the website of explaining it better, we've called them pearlized because of the different effects, which you're going to see in a moment. So the metallic Dora, this size bottle, and that's how you can tell the difference. So I'm just going to take the lid off. I've used this one a fair bit, so as you can see. And I'm going to load up my sponge with my paintbrush. So the cut and use are back in stock. So I'm just going to pop some onto a little bit of my cut and use pad here. Now you'll see already that it's very, very thick. It has kind of 2 colour pigments in, so you get kind of much more of a play of light with it. So I'm just going to smooth it on. And like with any of the Cadence paints, they go on really nicely. So if you want, you can get them quite smooth. You can move it around a little bit to minimise your brush strokes, and you can see there with the cut and use pad you just get almost nothing, no strokes at all. Now what I've been doing down the side, just so that you can see a play of light, is I've been done a bit of stippling, so I'm just going to pop a little bit more on. You can go pretty thick with this paint, which means you can get really kind of nice, almost molten metal effects, which I think is going to be really good for some of you. So I'm just going to literally just pad that down to create a bit of a stipple. So that gives you much more of the molten effect, and you get play of light within that. So if you wanted to go thick, you can do that technique. But it's nice just to do the smooth as well. So I'll pop that down there. And I'm going to clean my brushes off, and mainly because I think this is a good way to show you just how the little pigments of metal that are in the paints, these paints, that give it that real blingy glisten. Hopefully you can see as I clean the sponge off there, you can see the water has got these little pigments in. It's got little sparkles of glitter kind of going on, sitting separate on top of the water. I'm going to give that a good clean and just dry my pad off with my cloth here, which I'm doing off camera because it's very mucky, and just make sure my paintbrush has got no water in it as well. You don't want to be thinning this sort of paint down, you want to use it as it is. I mean, you can do if you want a kind of more wash effect. So we'll go for the pearlized now, which is going to give you like a white sparkle. So this would be really nice if you're wanting to create kind of a wash over something, or if you wanted something more bridal, or just something to give that iridescence. So I'm actually just going to paint this on so you can see while I'm here. We've got a nice big area left at the bottom here. And you can see even putting it on with the paintbrush as well. These paintbrushes are on the website as well. These are some new paintbrushes we've got. So you get a set like this, which are really handy. I'm loving using these. So you can see that's gone on really nice and smoothly there. So if I wanted to do the stipple effect with a paintbrush, I'm just going to do it like that and get a bit of a different thing. This is quite a good way to create texture as well. And if you wanted to overlay, so you could create some texture and then overlay into it with either the waxes or another colour, you could probably get some very interesting effects. Pearlized ones, I've put a little bit onto my palette here, and these come in these bottles. So we have walnut, bronze, gold, silver and pearl in this range, and we've included the walnut because when we did our sort of play day for testing these out, we just really loved the way this gave. I think this would be really good for creating like an age patterner on leathers, but let's give you a little demonstration of it. So again, I'm working with a dry brush, so we'll put some on here. Now again, they go on really nice and thick, and you can just use your brush,
partly because they use very small particles in the paint. You can get it really smoothed out with no brush strokes at all, so you can get a really nice even finish. So that's the walnut. So hopefully the camera's picking up. It's kind of a greeny, like a kind of verdigris almost, kind of bronze, copper kind of colour. And wash that off, and again dry that off. And this one now is the bronze. So I'm just picking some up onto the brush fairly generously, and then painting that over. And this has got a lovely kind of bronze, you know, real sort of bronze feel to it. So you'll see the difference probably from the camera as well already with this one to the bronze that's in the Dora. So the Dora has got that brightness to it. These have a little bit more of a subdued effect. The metal is about the colour and the play of light over it, whereas these have the much more blingy effect due to the mica pigments in. So again, we'll remove that one. Now with these ones as well, these pearl eyes, you can use the hybrid extender. They work quite well if you do want to have a sort of thinner wash, or you want to just make the paint go on a bit easier, or if you're working in warmer days. So we'll let those all dry off, and we'll just turn our attention to the next one. So here I have a little keyring that I've stamped with our Tree of Life stamp, which is rather lovely. And I'm going to use some of our antique gold finger wax here. And we have this in silver as well. So I'm just going to clean my fingers off a little. This literally is something that you pop on with your finger, so I'm going to just pick a little bit of it up with a bit of my finger, like so. And whenever you've done tooling or you've got texture, you're wanting to pick that out. So what you want to do with the wax is that will sit inside and then will buff away. So I'm going to rub it all over, pushing it in with my finger a little, and then find a clean cloth and I'm just going to buff it away. So I'm just going to rub it back so that I'm picking up, particularly around the edge where the black leather was. And that's just going to really bring out, and it's called a highlighting wax as well, so it really brings out any kind of texture that you've got. So I think if I hold that to the light now, you can really see that Tree of Life has come to life. So it's really great for stamps and for tooling and carving, for just giving it that highlight effect, just that little bit of shimmer, and just to sit in with it. That's really nice, I like that one.